smile and every handshake and every hug. That has been, Lord, confirmation to us that you are still in the blessing business. We thank you, God, for these young people and these not so young people who have lifted a praise to you today. We're grateful, God, for your word. We are certain that every time we open your word, you have a blessing for your people. So, Lord, hear this simple prayer that we pray to you right now. Speak to us, Lord. Speak through us, God, is our prayer. That we might hear and know through you and in you that your word is rich and full, and in your word there is abundance and fullness of joy. Have your way in this place is our prayer in Jesus' name. Amen. Honor and praise to God who is our Father and to Christ, our elder brother and Redeemer. And likewise, we thank God for the power and the presence of his Holy Spirit. This morning, Grace, I want to begin a new series that I'm actually for the winter and into the spring months. I want to casually, in some ways, look at some of the stories that we learned while we were children in Sunday school and Vacation Bible School that I believe serves us well to look at them again through adult eyes. Some of the stories that we know what was magnificent about them and why they were attractive to us as children, but it helps us as adults to revisit these narratives, to glean from ways in which they can bless us in our lives now. I want to start with one that is, I think, for many of us very familiar. It is a wonderful story. Wonderful in that the sense of when we were children, it was magnificent to hear this story about a man and a boat and a bunch of animals. If you look a little closer at this story, especially in the days in which we are living right now, I think we can learn a lot from Noah and from his relationship with the Lord. So I want to ask if you would turn with me to Genesis chapter 6. I'm going to begin reading in the 5th verse, and I'm going to read through the 9th verse. Genesis chapter 6, beginning in verse 5. Then the Lord saw the wickedness of man, that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every intent of the thoughts of his heart were only evil continually. And the Lord was sorry that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved his heart. So the Lord said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, creeping things and birds of the air, for I am sorry that I made them. But Noah found favor in the eyes of the Lord. This is the genealogy of Noah. Noah was a just man, perfect in his generations. Noah walked with God. Let me read those last two verses again. But Noah found favor in the eyes of the Lord. And this is the genealogy of Noah. Noah was a just man, perfect in his generations. Noah walked with God. I've grown old enough in my life that I have learned to appreciate some of the more simple things of life. And one of the simple things that I have learned to appreciate is just waking up every morning. And not just waking up, but waking up in a way where things, at least a couple of things on my body, are acting right. Anytime I can wake up and my neck isn't hurting, my back isn't in pain, any morning when I can wake up and when my feet hit the floor, I don't cry out in pain and moan from when my knees have to straighten up, that's a good day for me. Gotten just old enough, I was telling James this morning, they don't know nothing about this over here, but some of us that's been around here long enough, we know that it's a blessing to just wake up in the morning and everything act the way it's supposed to act. Listen, it's a blessing to make it through the night without having to get up 3 times to go to the bathroom, praise the Lord. But when you get old enough, you are just grateful to God that the morning comes and the morning is acting right. Sun is shining through the window. Everybody wakes up, kids off the way off to school, when the breakfast is smelling good, the bacon is crispy, the coffee is the aroma of and there's nothing like a good morning to let you know a good day is coming. In fact, when you're having a good morning, when you're enjoying the blessing of a morning, when everything seems to be lined up, you sit down with your food in front of you, your coffee and your orange juice, old school folk will break out the newspaper. But you know, these days, there is nothing that can ruin a good morning like reading the news. Because to look at the news these days in most situations is a heart-wrenching thing, to look at just how mean people are to people these days. Man's inhumanity to man, the wickedness that exists in this land, is at a higher point now than it has ever been in my entire lifetime. Just last week here in the city of Philadelphia, if you picked up the newspaper on any day, you read about some murder out at the gas station at 58th and Chester Avenue, back here on King Sessing Avenue, on King Sessing up this way, back on Lindbergh Avenue on Thursday. Somebody decided that somebody's life was not worth it. Somebody took a gun, took a knife, took their own car, and killed somebody else because they felt like they were in the position of God and they got to decide who lived and who didn't. We are living in wicked times. We're living in times where you can't even send your daughters to school without worrying about some pervert being in the classroom, some pervert coaching one of the teams, sexually assaulting or molesting your daughter. We're living in a time where even some of the highest men in our country are now being accused of sexual molestation, being accused of sexual assault, where women can't just walk down the street without worrying about somebody abusing and misusing them. We are living in difficult times. We're living in times when our boys even are often the victims of sexual molestation and assault, those that are looking to rob them of the innocence that God has given them. We live in a time with a tax plan that is coming out of Washington. It's purposefully designed, don't let anybody tell you anything different, to make sure that the haves have more and the have-nots have less. A plan that is designed to take away the estate tax. I don't think anybody in here has anything to worry about the estate tax. The estate tax says that if your granddaddy left you $12 million, then maybe you ought to give some of that money to the government so they can use it to build a hospital and a road somewhere. But they want to do away with the estate tax and tax you and me even more. When I was in Atlanta listening to the news, there was a story of a young family that had a child. The child was born premature. The child was born with no kidneys. They discovered very early on that the father was a match for the child, and the father would give the child one of his kidneys. And so they got the child ready to go into surgery, and the night before the surgery was to take place, the father was picked up on a minor parole violation. Hospital called the police and said, listen, this man is supposed to have surgery today. He didn't commit a crime. He just violated his parole. Can you please release him so he can come and give the kidney to this boy so this boy can live? And the police refused to do so. Refused to let him go free just long enough to save the life of his child. Man's inhumanity to man. These headlines have become common. Wickedness runs all across the land. And if you look at the similar thread that exists in all of these headlines, it's somebody doing something mean and wicked to somebody else. This ain't the devil coming down and doing stuff to people. This ain't demons and principalities and wickedness. This is us being mean and wicked to one another. And according to the Bible, it was very much that way in the days of Noah. The Bible says that men and women had become so wicked in the days of Noah that God regretted that he even made us. Can you imagine just how much it takes for God to get to that point? As loving and kind and gracious and merciful as God is, that God got to a point that he looked down at us and said, I can't even believe I even made you. I'm so mad. I'm so through with myself. I should have never even made. Regret is a powerful emotion. You ever purchase something from the store? It looked good on the mannequin when you saw it, but then you got it on and put it on you, and how it looked on the mannequin and how it looked on you was very different, and so you were filled with regret. You took it back to the store and got your money back. You ever ordered something from a restaurant, and when you looked at the menu and read what it was supposed to taste like, it seemed like it was going to be all right until you got it in front of you and took a bite of it, and then you had regret in your heart. Well, maybe this one will ring a bell. You ever seen somebody's profile on blackpeoplemeet.com? picture when they were slim and looking good, all set back, hair slicked back, looking all wonderful on the profile picture. But then you got out on the date and you saw what they look like now and not that picture they took 20 years ago, and all of a sudden you will feel with regret. The word says that men and women had grown so wicked that God got to the point where he regretted that he even made us. You see, the problem was the thing was not working the way it was originally designed to work. In God's original design, we were supposed to be in full communion with the Lord. God's original design, if you turn back just 5 chapters, you will find God breathing the breath of life into Adam and Eve. And the Bible says that God, Adam and Eve lived in perfect harmony with one another. That God and Adam and Eve woke up every morning talking to one another, singing to one another, fellowshipping with one another, that they were in perfect harmony. God said to Adam, listen, brother, you don't have to go anywhere else. Everything you need is right here in the Garden of Eden. I have provided everything for you. And once God made Eve, Lord have mercy, Adam didn't have no place else to go. Everything that he needed was right there, right before him. Adam and Eve had one another. They could eat off of everything except God said, there are 2 trees in the middle of the garden, and whatever you do, don't eat off of those trees. We're going to be okay, Adam. Adam, I just need you, and Eve, I just need you to hearken to my voice and do what I tell you to do. And as long as you don't mess with that, we're going to be all right. But what is it about us that whenever God says don't do it, Lord have mercy, we feel like little children when you tell them don't touch something and they just got to go touch it. Whenever God tells us to leave something alone, whenever God tells us something is not good for us, for some reason we have to go and mess with it. Bible says that Adam and Eve went, that they bit the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, the very thing God told them to leave alone, and that has brought us to the place that we are right now, where God looks down on us, looks down on our wickedness, looks down on our inability to obey God's commandments, and God thinks to himself, I should have never made any of them. One of the ways in which you know you are maturing as a child of God is when you get to the place where you understand God's commandments as not something that was designed to hurt you, but something that was designed to bless you. We've been talking about this in Bible study on Wednesday evening, that one of the ways you know you are a maturing Christian is when God tells you not to do something, you do not look at it as God trying to keep you away from having fun, but rather you look at it as God trying to make sure you don't get in any mess that can destroy your life. Everything I've ever done in my life where I messed myself up is because I did something God told me not to do. You have to say amen to that if you don't want to agree with it. Just that everybody in here knows that every time you found yourself stuck in a bad situation, it's because God said go and you said do. Every time you find yourself trying to figure out how you were going to get out of it, it's because God said don't and you said do. Tells you not to do something. He's not trying to hurt you. He's trying to help you. He's trying to keep you from something. He's trying to get you to something which will put you in line with the will of God. A maturing Christian says, God, if you say it's not good for me, I trust you. I don't like the apple to know it's going to kill me. If you said it's going to kill me, I'll stay away from it. God looked down at the world and listen. We are not much unlike the people that exist in the days of Noah. These are mean and wicked and evil days where you can barely send your kids out to the store without having to worry about them and without having to worry what somebody is going to do to our children. In these mean and wicked evil days, God decided he was going to wipe everybody out. But I love when I'm reading the Bible and I see a but. But God said there's one man. One. His name is Noah. And there's something special about this man. The word says, your translation might say that Noah found grace or favor in the Lord. Anytime you're reading the Bible and you see a but and favor, you ought to stop. Something ought to say, y'all stop for other buts, stop for this one. Something ought to say to you, when you see a but and a favor in the word of God, that you ought to pause to yourself and say there's something significant here. Because the word says God was through with everybody, but he found favor in Noah. He asked myself, what is it, preacher, about Noah? Why is it that in these evil and wicked days, God was able to find one man and find something special about him? If you keep reading and go down to the next verse, it says that there were three things. Literally, it's a perfect little Baptist sermon. There were three things that God found in Noah that each and every one of us ought to pay attention to, because if you do what Noah did, you will get what Noah got. The word says that Noah, first of all, that he was a righteous man, or your Bible might say Noah was a just man. When you take righteousness and justice and combine them together, notice what it means about Noah. What it says is that Noah did the right thing, but anybody can do the right thing. What it means to do justice is when you can do the right thing when everybody else is doing wrong. Let's work on that for a while. It says that Noah exists in a wicked time. And what made God notice Noah, what God thought was significant about Noah, is that while everybody else was doing wrong, Noah was still doing right. It's easy to do right when everybody's doing right. That ain't that hard. It's easy to come to church and do right. It's easy when you're around your church friends to do right. It's easy when you know the preacher and the deacons are coming by to do right. It's easy when your boss is looking to do right. It's easy when the police are coming around the corner to do right. That's not really doing right. Doing right is when you know everybody else is doing wrong and you still make the decision that in spite of the fact that I'm surrounded by wrong, I'm going to do what's right. I'll take it to another level. What it really means to do justice and righteousness is not just to do right when everybody else is doing wrong, but to do right when everybody else is doing wrong to you. Yeah. What it means to be a just person is that when they talking about you, you don't talk about them. What it means to be a just person is that when they trying to bring you down, you don't try to bring them down. What it means to be a just person is just because they cussing you out, don't mean you gotta cuss them out. What it means to be a just person is just because they're gossiping about you, don't mean you have to gossip about them. A just person is just because they try to steal something from you, Lord have mercy, don't mean you gotta take something from them. Just you might do wrong, I'm gonna do right anyhow. Moses was a just and righteous man, even though he lived in a wicked society. My father's first job once he went into the ministry was he got a job working at the Joliet State Prison in Illinois. Now, many people have heard the notorious stories about the Cook County Jail. That's the jail in Chicago. But the prison for Chicago is a couple of cities down south in a place called Joliet. My dad went to work at the Joliet State Prison, 20-something years old, fresh out of seminary, his first job in ministry. And Daddy will tell the story. He said that one of the things that he recognized right away, that was one of the issues that exists in prison, is that most of the people in prison are not in prison because of what they did, according to them. The reason they're in prison is because somebody did something, and they retaliated, and that's the reason they're in prison. Talk to any prisoner that hasn't really had a moment of recognition of what's really going on. And they'll tell you, the reason why I'm here is because somebody said something to me, I punched them in the mouth and beat them with a stick. The reason why I'm here is because somebody did something to me, and I felt like I had to do something back to them. And when I used to teach children in school, I expected to hear that kind of stuff. Children would say, well, I did it to her because she did it to me. But when you grow up, you're supposed to mature to a place where you understand that just because somebody did something to you does not mean you have to do it back to them. Here's the ignorance that a lot of people will teach their children, this idea that just because something comes your way, that you got to send it back. Listen to me. The prisons are full of people who are retaliating based on something somebody did to them. If you want to live the way that God has called you to live, you got to stand up for justice and righteousness even when people are doing something different to you. About you, even when they're trying to bring bring you down, even when they're trying to deride your name. What it means to be a person of justice is you stand up for what's right anyhow. Word says that when I was a child, I understood as a child, I thought as a child, I behaved like a child, but when I grew up, I stopped acting like a little child. And some of us, truth be told, we need to grow up. Just because they posted something about on Facebook that you thought was about you, don't mean that now you got to come back and say something about them. Grow up! Listen, if I got a room and posted every time somebody made some anonymous quote about me, something I did, something I should have done, how I'm mad at the pastor because the pastor did this and the pastor did that, y'all be through with me. You ought to have enough sense to know that sometimes even when folk are doing wrong to you, you got to stand on righteousness and do the right thing that God has called you to do. Noah was just and righteous. The second thing the word says is that Noah was perfect, or your translation might say blameless in his generation. Now here's where if you like me, you're like, hold on, preacher. Now you telling me I can be like Noah, but you just told me something about Noah I can't do. Because I tried a couple times to be perfect, Pastor, I can't do that. How is it that I can be like Noah if Noah was perfect? And I've learned in my life I cannot be perfect. Here is where it helps to have some understanding of biblical language. There are three languages mostly that the Bible was written in: Hebrew, Aramaic, and Greek. Each one of these languages is so different from English because they often have many words to say the thing for which we only have one word. The great example of this, I've used this and instructed this way before, is the word love. We have one word for love, but if you look in the New Testament, the Greek has three words for love. They have the word philos love, brotherly or sisterly love, from which we get the city of Philadelphia. There is eros love, which is the romantic love that a man has for a woman. But lastly, there is also agape love, that they have three words for something for which we only have one. In our text this morning, the word that we can best translate what we see in the original Hebrew text is the word perfect. That's because we can only deal with a tense that either has to be present or future. But in the Hebrew language, they are able to combine the present and the future tense in a way where the best way we can translate this is not to say Noah was perfect, but to say Noah was perfecting. Now, in other words, what the word is saying here is not that Noah was perfect, but that Noah was in the process of perfecting himself. Not that Noah did everything right, but Noah was in the process of building and growing himself so that he could do what the Lord called him to do. Here's what I'm trying to